100 men would beat one gorilla. But how would UFC fighters fare? Well, I've got a couple test subjects today who I think would be a great fit to get put in a cage against a gorilla, you know, and see how they come out of it. So we've got some honourable mentions as to who I think we should throw in there with the gorilla as our cannon fodder. Victorious champion. We've got Colby Covington, great guy, doesn't talk trash, so I think we should give him a shot against the gorilla. Let's put like a BMF title on the line for Colby Covington here and see how he fares against the gorilla. Man, I think Colby Covington has a pretty good shot. He might get his arms ripped off, but man, nobody checks the gorilla's grappling, alright? So let's get Colby Covington in there, and then we've got Sean Strickland, you know, lovely guy, doesn't say anything controversial whatsoever, very pleasant man, doesn't support Trump, you know, he's not completely idiotic. Strickland's a great guy, and to be fair, the gorilla's never felt his jab, man. The gorilla, what's the gorilla gonna do when he jabs and teeps? Mate, that gorilla is getting 50-45'd in a decision. So let's have Sean Strickland. I think he's got a pretty good shot. And then we've got Cyril Gahn. We might have to give him a contract and tell him that it's for a film shoot. Get him doing some acting work. Otherwise, I'm not sure he'll show up. But I think Cyril Gahn, big heavyweight. Yeah. If we, you know, the director gives him some advice on how you know, we'll set up the cameras, set up the director outside the octagon and have him shout at Cyril, go, oh yeah, Cyril, jab. We need some jabs. Alright, throw a big meaty hook. This is really going to come down to how good Cyril Gahn's director is. If he's got a good director, I think he can take on this gorilla. I think Cyril Gahn get it done. You know, Cyril Gahn is a brilliant wrestler. And the gorilla, what's he going to do when Gahn shoots a double legger? Well, nothing. And then we've got Bo Nickel on here, you know. Bo Nickel actually has some experience in this situation because he's just this Saturday he's gone up against a gorilla in Rainier Derrida. Rainier Derrida, he gave Bo Nickel what he deserved, alright? But I don't think Bo Nickel's been humbled quite enough. I don't see Bo Nickel getting humbled again, man. Derrida fluked him. Bo Nickel is the future GOAT of the sport. So let's see how Bo Nickel does against the gorilla. Great wrestler. What's the gorilla gonna do? So those are our honourable mentions as to who I want to see get thrown in the cage with a gorilla. Next up, the face of the sport, Coker McGregor. Look, we're gonna have to like sprinkle a trail of crack leading into the gorilla's enclosure, and then we'll get McGregor in there to swing with the gorilla. You know, this man's striking is insane. We might have to teach the gorilla some sign language, and then, you know, get an interpreter who can sign to the gorilla, tell the guy what Conor McGregor's been doing, and we'll see how the gorilla responds to that, and then we'll toss McGregor in there and just see. You know, we do no need for McGregor's trial. We'll just whack him in there with a gorilla. Trial by gorilla. I think that will be appropriate. So let's move on to our next pick, Leon Edwards. Now, you might not expect Leon Edwards here after he got dominated by Sean Brady, but you know, we can't have the gorilla get utterly dominated by Sean Brady's grappling, so we're gonna have to get Leon Edwards in there. You know, Leon Edwards, he's not a fluky champion, GOAT of the division, easily. It wasn't a fluke. No, it was completely legit, and you know, I haven't been saying for the past year that Leon Edwards isn't that good, so why wouldn't I want to see him in there against the gorilla? You know, maybe the gorilla can draw an entertaining fight out of Leon Rocky Edwards and actually, you know, justify that fan base he has, because I don't see it right now. If I saw Leon Edwards scrap with a gorilla, I'd be a fan too. And then next up, we've got everyone's favourite. We got Mario Batista. Now, people forget what Mario Batista did to Jose Aldo. You know, Jose Aldo had just come into his prime in the bantamweight division in 2024, UFC 307. That was Aldo's prime, man. That is the GOAT of the sport behind Leon Rocky Edwards. Aldo was an absolute beast, and look what Batista did to him. No, who does that to Aldo? Who holds him against the fence like that? Utterly dominates him. Like, that is the greatest fighting style you could possibly ask for as an MMA fan. Incredibly entertaining. Requires so much technique and skill. No one is better than Mario Batista. He's triple champ. Future triple champ right there with Mario Batista. And then we've got Juliana Pena. She'll probably talk so much that she just makes the gorilla shoot itself. That's Penya's win condition here. Is she just keeps talking and the gorilla just hangs itself, or just like gouges its ears. When Penya's just over here in the enclosure, just running her mouth. And to be fair, Penya's about to fight a gorilla anyway. Like UFC 316, we've got Penya against a gorilla, a roided out gorilla that is Kayla Harrison. So, to be fair, Penya, she might win that fight. We'll get to see Penya versus a gorilla in a couple months' time. And next up, we've got Magomed Ankalaev. You know, man, he is the GOAT of the sport. Currently, Leon Edwards, if he beats the gorilla, he'll be #1. But Magomed Ankalaev, bro, he beat Pereira. In that fight, Pereira looked incredible. That is the best Pereira ever looked like. Do you not understand how good Pereira looked in that fight? And Ankalaev was dominating him in the wrestling. Pereira thought he took him down. Ankalaev actually just he was teasing him. He was like, yeah, bring the fight to the ground. I'll beat you here as well. His striking is so entertaining, his grappling is so entertaining, and he's such a great personality. He's like, there's so much going for him, not just the fact that he doesn't like John Jones, there's so much more to him than that. And like, he is the champion of the division, nobody in the division beats him. Yuri wouldn't stand a chance against him. If Pereira fought like he did against Yuri in that second fight, Ankalaev would kill him. Pereira stands no chance. Ankalaev, he's unbeatable. I believe him when he says that if John Jones were to fight him, Ankalaev would kill him. First round TKO, easily. And then a second round submission, he like casts a magic spell, brings John Jones back to life just so he could submit him. And then he'll get a decision as well. So Magomed Ankalaev, what's the gorilla going to do to him? The gorilla has nothing against these Dagestanis, man. The Dagestanis are the best fighters in the UFC. You can't beat the Dagestanis. They're the most entertaining fighters. They have the best personalities. They're the most skilled. And their striking is just absolutely incredible, dude. The Dagestanis, man, the gorilla isn't going to know what hit him. And to be fair, Ankalaev's probably stronger than the gorilla. He'll just strength max his way to the pit. I can't. Dude, I can't. Top of the list, John Jones. John Jones, what a lovely guy. Devout Christian. Really follows the word of God in everything he does. You know, he's had a couple of accidental incidents, but he's trying to make up for them, man. And the roids, they were snuck in his soup, man. It wasn't intentional. No, that's his bad, DC. Tom Aspinall doesn't deserve to fight Jones. I'm just gonna be real with it. Like, John Jones has done so much. No, the interim champion shouldn't be fighting the champion. No, Jones should fight Pereira, or whoever he wants, or retire. He doesn't need to fight Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall shouldn't be his next fight. Tom Aspinall still has to beat Cyril Gane in more dominant fashion than Jones did, and he's got to get another win in the trilogy against Curtis Blades, or he's just not deserving of the title. And even then, oh wow, you beat Cyril Gane and Curtis Blades, beat Pereira. Otherwise, you just don't deserve Jones. I'm sorry, you just don't. And you've got to go up to hyperweight and be champ there. You can't fight Jones if you're not a double champ. That's just how it is. Aspinall doesn't deserve Jones. You know who I would like to see John Jones destroy, because he's the greatest fighter ever? As Dana White always says, put two men in a room, John Jones walks out every time. Now let's find out how easily he can beat a gorilla if you put him in a room with him. You know, this is the fight we want to see because it's a harder fight for John Jones than Tom Aspinall. This might give John Jones some slight, minor, minuscule semblance of a challenge. Whereas Aspinall, he just won't. He'll get knocked out by John Jones in the first round. Let's not forget, Aspinall is no Anthony Smith. He's not taking John Jones to a 5-round decision. No. Aspinall doesn't have a prayer in this fight. But the gorilla? He might make John Jones use 1% of his power. So there's my list of UFC fighters I want to see fight the gorilla. Let me know who you think should take on the gorilla. And bear in mind, this isn't 100 UFC fighters versus the gorilla. It's just these ones. So let me know who you would like to see fight the gorilla. Maybe Jamal Hill, you know, maybe someone like that. Please like and subscribe. Algorithm, you know the drill. I'll catch up with you in the next video next week.